It's winter time, and for various reasons, I can't go out and ride. And there's a big chance that you can't either. So what else is left for a lonely rider to do other than browse the classifieds and look for the next bike to buy? That's exactly what I've been doing, and here are some motorcycles that would catch my eye. Now, it would be pretty easy to name really rare bikes, motorcycles over 20k, but I'm not going to, because I think there still are some quirky gems out there that can be found, ridden, maybe even appreciate in value a bit over time. First things first, the Ducati Monster S4 RS. This is no regular Monster, no regular S4 and no regular S4R. The RS is special and arguably the best and purest Monster ever made, and also arguably the last old school Monster ever made. What makes it so unique is that Ducati put their Testa Stretta engine derived from their superbikes into a Monster trellis frame. Ducati also blessed this example with plenty of carbon fiber clothing, but it's the experience of riding it that makes it so unique. No electronic aids, and an old school 130 horsepower L-twin creates a pretty unique experience. Starting at about 7 grand, you can get a higher mile example, but be prepared to pay closer to 10 for a low mile pristine example. But if you ask me, it would be worth every penny, because this motorcycle is special, it was unique when it launched, and no other bike like it will ever be made. Plus, it looks like a true monster, and I don't think it will ever come down in price. Did you ever wonder what would happen if Batman owned the motorcycle? Honda did, and created one of the most interesting and ahead of its time bikes you can buy, the DN01. The looks of it were outrageous back then, and I would argue they still are. It was only made for 3 years, starting in 2008, and the engine was nothing out of the ordinary. But that's where the common tech ends, because this bike also featured a single-sided swing arm and an automatic transmission. That was in 2008. Sure, it was expensive, but you can pick one up for about 5k and you can be sure that nobody else will have a similar bike at the stoplight. Will it appreciate in the near future? I think not, but ride it for a few years and I think its uniqueness will show its value over time. Plus it's a Honda, so reliability is kinda guaranteed. I keep banging on Honda these days for making boring machines, but it didn't used to be that way. Hence our third item on the list, the Honda CBR 954RR. At first glance, this is just an old CBR, but it's far from that. It is the last Fireblade designed by the original designer of the blade. It's the end of an era. And what an ending was it? The engine only puts out about 154 horsepower, and that might not seem crazy. Until I check the weight. This bike has 168 kilos dry. That makes it the lightest Fireblade ever made. It was so light it could go head to head with the 600s. All these items make it a true future classic in my opinion, and I would love to own one. Prices started around 2.5k, which is a really good deal, but I would go for the most expensive, most well-maintained and low-mileage example possible. That might cost you upwards of 4k. I really think there is something special about it, and I think that the proper example in the future will be worth a pretty penny. And I'm constantly looking for the opportunity to own one. We've looked at street bikes, but can a dirt bike fit this list? I think so, but it has to be a pretty special one. I'm talking about the KTM 450 Rally. The Austrians only build about 500 of these rally prototypes every year, so they are not common. And they might look like regular old enduros with fairings, but the entire fuel system together with the tanks are changed. And I said tanks because these bikes have two. The swing arm is different, the engine and gearbox are different. These are tailor-made for racing, and I think owning one would be a pretty special experience, especially since these bikes were only sold to racers. So almost all of them carry along their own unique stories. They are hard to find, and when you do, they are quite pricey. Currently prices start at around 17k, but if I could ever find one at the 15k mark or lower, I would jump on that opportunity in a heartbeat. Because you're literally buying a really fun, usable, small part of rally racing history. Number 5 is a motorcycle that's pretty well known for some, but pretty obscure at the same time. I'm talking about the Husqvarna Nuda 900R. It seems like these examples never lost their value over the years. Yes, they were pretty expensive when new, but their design was, and still is, breathtaking. But nothing is as breathtaking as the famous sound it makes. Husky got to play around with the 800cc engine gifted to them by BMW, and in turn they created the most aggressive exhaust note you can hear on two wheels. Combine that with its supermoto stance, futuristic design, and good performance, you have a stellar package. And they are decently rare. Okay, they weren't made in limited quantities, but not a lot of folks bought them. Maybe it was their initial price, but nowadays you can expect to spend about 7K on a good example. But if this is not the type of motorcycles to be shown in a museum in 20 years time, I don't know what is. This is the sub of bikes, so unique and so cool at the same time. I really want one. We need to get back on the dirt, and funny enough, back at Honda. And back to craziness. This is the Honda CR500. It's a 500cc two-stroke monster. It's got power for days, the power band sounds like heaven's gates have opened, and it marks the end of an era, the end of two-stroke motocross bikes. It was insane back then. It's just as insane now. I'd love to get one, restore it to a fully stock condition and ride it once in a while, and then come back and just look at it, look at the madness of people from 20 plus years ago, and look at a time when bikes were truly simple and simplicity was exciting. Unfortunately, finding such motorcycle is no easy feat. They are rare, and especially if you find one in decent shape. And any example will be fairly expensive, expect values upwards of 10K. But here's my argument. This bike will never lose value. This will be a museum piece, a rarity in the two-wheeled world, an icon that people will always look at in awe. And for that reason, again, I really want one. If we're talking about the way motorcycles sound, we cannot skip over another Japanese legend, the Kawasaki ZXR 250. Yes, it's just another 90s small displacement, slow sports bike. But that's exactly why it's on this list. Because you won't be breaking speed limits and won't have your license revoked instantly. So, why is this special? Well, one simple reason. The engine. And it's not its power output or torque, it's the sound. It revs all the way to 18,000 RPMs and makes sounds that only an F1 car could make. It's niche, it's unique, and it's different. It makes small beginner bikes exciting, thrilling. It makes you want to get out and ride these really small bikes. And for that reason, I would absolutely love one. But these are rare and extremely hard to find, especially in Europe. So for that reason, I cannot name a price. It's that hard. But I know that whenever I will see one, I need to get it and keep it, cherish it, and enjoy it for the rest of my motorcycle career. For number 8, we need to come back to Europe, and back to Italy to be more precise, to a small boutique manufacturer called BMW Agusta. If Italians are known for one thing, that has to be design. And this is the most beautiful motorcycle ever made. It's a fact, not an opinion. If you think different, you're just wrong. I am talking about the BMW Agusta Brutale 800 Dragster RR. Long name aside, it came out a few years ago, and its beauty is beyond anything else I have ever seen. Starting from the sweeping lines, to the spoked wheels, single-sided swing arm and exhaust. In fact, I would never even dare to change that exhaust because it's just so amazingly designed from the get-go. And it's no slouch on the street either, featuring a torquey inline-3 engine that manages to also deliver an amazing exhaust note. Honestly, this will be a museum piece, the ultimate bike. Not needed by anyone, but wanted by everyone. I didn't think I would say this, but for number 9, we need to get back to Japan and in fact to Honda, and actually to a cruiser. I'm talking about Honda 1100 Magna. The smaller brother of this bike is more popular, but this big brother is a lot more rare and a lot more significant in my opinion. Cruisers used to always have a V2 configurations. All Harleys had that, and not only. But Honda wanted to be different, and back when this bike launched, having a V4 engine on a cruiser was an abomination. That's what makes it so desirable, because it's different. Honda grabbed the cruiser market and flipped it around, introduced the concept of performance in this segment. It made over 130 horsepower. It sounded amazing while still allowing you to cruise. This is the granddaddy of the Ducati Diavolo and other similar performance cruisers. And for that reason, I would love to add this Honda to my garage. Last but not least, we're ending with the most budget-friendly model. Coming straight from Bavaria, the BMW F650CS Scarver. What was BMW thinking? It looks weird. It features a belt drive system. It is based on an adventure bike, but it's modified to suit the city streets. It has a lumping 650cc single-cylinder engine, and it also came out with a bunch of weird accessories instead of the gas tank. You could have an integrated tank bag, some passenger handles, or even the weirdest looking stereo system ever. The caveat of this is the following: I would only buy one with a working stereo system. These add-ons were incredibly rare, and for good reason. But if the right model pops up and features it, I'm buying it the next day, because it's got Doug DeMuro levels of quirkiness, and for that, I consider it to be pretty special. And that's it. A look for the 10 bikes I'm interested in buying. 10 weird, quirky, interesting motorcycles. Motorcycles that would put a big smile on my face even when sitting in my garage. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope I gave you some ideas, and I also hope you won't steal any of these examples from me. And yeah, have a good one. Also, when I was planning this video, the situation wasn't as it is. I'm just wanting to say that I'm really sorry for the whole situation in Ukraine. I don't think anyone likes what's happening over there. I'm not gonna go into the politics of it. I just want to say that if you can help in any way, shape or form, that would be greatly appreciated. Nobody wants wars. Nobody wants people to die, obviously. The country where we are from, we live right on the border of Ukraine. We can sort of see what's happening, and we can see that it's real. We can see like Ukrainian cars started coming to the country. We can see Ukrainian people. We can hear Ukrainian on the street here, which never used to happen. And it's sad. It's not sad that they're coming here. It's sad the circumstances in which they have to come here. We don't support any invaders, and not only about Ukraine, other situations as well. But yeah, that's really all I have to say, and keep yourself safe, and yeah, hopefully this whole situation ends soon.